Welcome to week 6 of the marketing module. Today we're going to talk about marketing communications, and the workshop will be on promotion. Just something for you to think about, as advertising seems to be the main means of communicating with your audience. The agenda for today is we will look at what communications are. We look at different or the communication model, consumer information processing, communication mix, and integrated marketing communications. So what is marketing communication? It's how we as a business communicate with our target audience, and the communication should ideally influence the perception and the understanding and the needs of our target audience as well with regards to products and services. And the goal is to get the audience to buy our product or service. And according to Phil, what you need to do is differentiate your communications, remind your audience, so don't just advertise once, inform them and persuade them to buy your product and service, and this is called the drip message. As we all know, the communication environment is changing. The markets are very fragmented. There are lots of different aspects to, if you think about tourism and hospitality, different markets to who we can advertise to as well, who we can communicate to, I should say, within the market, because it's not just one target market but different ones. And the media is fragmented as well. It's not everything goes through the radio or the TV nowadays, but you have your social networking sites, you have mobile phones, you've got applications, so there are different ways on how you communicate with your target audience. And this is where it then goes into the technology, where obviously communication opportunities are being created. And then obviously there's, especially with everything being so fragmented, there's a need for consistent and clear message so that your target audience actually understands what you're trying to tell them. Now, there is a communication model here which was created by Kotler in 2001 and has been slightly adapted. The point is that you have your sender, and this out here goes in circles, so it goes round and round. But you have your sender who sends obviously the communication, and this is your business, for example, your hotel, your restaurant, whatever business you're running. You obviously have your message, your marketing message that you want to be delivered to your target audience in a certain way as well. You've got your receiver, and this is your target audience, and obviously you have your feedback and the action. So it's easier, it's the reaction from the audience. So either they just say, "Oh, great, this is a clear message, this product service looks great, and we're going to buy it," or they reject it, or they say you have to make a few changes. And again, when you look at the message as well, and we talk about this in a bit more later, is how do you market it to different international markets as well. Now, within all this, you have your noise and your clutter, which is the communication from other sources, from other organizations or from other people. So it might be from your competition, but it also might be word of mouth from other customers. And obviously they compete for the target audience's attention as well. So, through all this noise and clutter, and all these other information bits, you have to get your message through, and this is why very often you have to be more innovative than just advertising on a big billboard or on TV. Now, there are certain ways of how consumer process information. You can expose them to your message. So obviously they can see it, they experience it. So if you put it on TV, if you give them somewhere where they can experience a product directly, where they can try it out, you've got the attention. So, are they actually aware of the message? Have they processed the information you're trying to give them? Then you have the comprehension. Do they actually understand the message? Do they understand what you want to tell them, what your product is for, what your service is for, why it is great to I don't know, to stay in a certain kind of hotel rather than another one, to go to a certain destination. What are do they actually understand maybe the benefits of it as well? Acceptance. Are they actually taking in? Are they accepting the message? And then can you hopefully persuade your target audience to hopefully take action as well. And the last step of the processing is the retention. So there's basically they received the message, they've understood it, and they've taken it in as just part of their long-term memory. So maybe they then think back and take action and buy into the product and service as well. Obviously, in relation to that, you have to make sure that you as a business are being seen. So if you're advertising somewhere where no one looks, what's the point of doing it, because no one can see and no one will react to it. It has to stand out. It has to be noticed. So there's so much going on around us in our lives. We're all busy. If a marketing message doesn't stand out, isn't noticeable, we just forget about it, or don't even forget about it. We don't even take it in, and we don't. You're obviously not communicating properly with the audience. As annoying as some of the adverts are on TV, but I'm sure there are a few of them that you can remember because they stood out. Like for example, the Silly Bang advert, the Confused.com, things like that. Because as I said, as annoying as they are, that people notice them and they stick in their head as well. They must be interesting and relevant. So if your message doesn't mean anything to your consumer, they're not going to buy into it. And they must be appealing. So how do you get someone to buy your product or service? How do you get a positive reaction? How don't you just say, oh bloody hell, this advert is just driving me nuts, it doesn't make me want to buy this product. So basically the main thing is that as a consumer, with your communications message, wants us to take action, to do something about it. Whether it's just buy the product, or at least go and check it out, or if someone talk about it if someone else has bought it as well. Obviously you have to structure your communications mix as well. You have to identify your audience. So who should the message go to? You have to determine the response that you want. So what do you want them to do after they get the message? Do they want to look it up? Do they want to investigate it more? Ideally, probably you want them to buy into your product or service. You have to choose the message. So you have to write a copy, produce images. So how, what are you going to say? What are you going to communicate? You have to choose the channel. So what media do you want to use depending on consumer preference? And again, as I said, the target market is fragmented. You can't just communicate your message through the same channel to each of your target audience. Younger people, 14 to 19-year-olds, want to get messages differently than 25 to 40-year-olds or pensioners, for example. You can't use the same channel for all of them. Select the sources attribute. So what is it about the company or the product that needs to be communicated? So what is the important bit? That's what is your USP. And then collect feedback. So do research. This again where it all comes to market research of how successful was the advertising campaign. Can have tracking codes for responses and all these things. So this is all important when you think about structuring your communications mix. You then have to look at your communication hierarchies, And you've got something that's called the AIDA formula. I'm not sure if you've heard about it or not, but it's all about, you know, people not being aware of a product to then hopefully taking action. So the AIDA formula basically leaves out the ignorance at the bottom. But before we know about a product, we're ignorant about it because we might not have heard about it. What you then want to do you want to create knowledge and awareness, which you do by grabbing someone's attention. So the message grabs the attention of your target audience. You then want people to like your product or service or organization. So you're starting to arouse, the message then starts to arouse the interest of the target audience, which then leads to the message stimulating the desire to buy. You haven't bought it yet, but you might say, oh, actually, this is a really good product and it's better than the one I bought before. So maybe I should just try it out and see if it works better, which then nicely leads into the action, where then the message encourages the purchase. So this means that from complete ignorance of a product, your message has to make sure that it comes up with attention, interest, desire, and then the action, which is the purchase of your product. There have been a lot of changes in the communications mix, and if you look at the traditional communications mix, you have your direct marketing, directly marketing to your customers. You've got sales, promotions, personal selling, public relations, and advertising. So these are your traditional parts of your communication mix. Now, with there being so much choice and so many different ways of communicating to your audience, you have to make sure that you don't just communicate through one channel. It is now important to use an integrated communication mix. So rather than just using advertising, public relations, sales promotion, or personal selling, you have a lot of other ways in that help you to get your message across, and you should ideally use a variety of these methods. So if you talk about advertising, you've got TV advertising, radio advertising, press advertising. So you've got different ways, outdoor advertising there as well. You can then have your press releases. They don't cost anything, so it's actually a good way of telling people about your product. Exhibitions. And then obviously internet marketing there as well, and your telemarketing. You've got your databases where you can get to people as well. Yes, and then if you talk about public relations, you have to bring across the idea of your corporate identity as well. And one of the important things nowadays is internet marketing. So don't just use one medium or one channel to get your message across, but use a variety of channels, because that makes people remember things as well. The other thing with this is that it also deals with international marketing. Because different countries have obviously different languages, culture, and some messages don't work in certain countries in some ways of advertising. So this international global market space requires different approaches in different countries. So a lot of global organizations therefore have agencies in the capital cities in different countries to deliver messages to the different clients again as well. So don't just look at your national market, but how do you get messages across to different international markets as well, if you're selling abroad as well. And the benefits of integrated marketing are, first of all, is an extended reach. Integrated messages across the media increases the reach of the audience. So because there are so many ways or so many different kinds of media in the marketplace, it is even more difficult to reach a number of target markets, and therefore different ways and the use of different kinds of media is very important to actually reach all your different target audiences. As I said before, teenagers want to be advertised to differently than pensioners, for example. Then you've got your synergy, okay? You can repeat a creative message across different media because that reinforces the effectiveness of a campaign. As I said before, if you advertise once, no one will probably remember you. If you advertise 6 times, the idea might stick in your head, in your audience's head. Then the media multiplier effect. Multimedia can deliver a greater return on media investment, and it has been proven by research and by studies that redeploying 10% of the TV budget into other support media, for example the radio, the efficiency of the campaign in building awareness can be increased by 15%. Because people listen to the radio when they do the dishes, when they do, I don't know, when they're in the bathroom, when they're at work. And even though they might not actively listen to everything, they do still take a lot of the information in. And then the last thing is the halo effect, where you use the messages from one medium and use them on a lower impact medium, so as seen on TV. So you would have that written on your packaging, for example, and I'm sure you've all seen this quite a few times. So the important thing to remember, just to look at your conclusions, is that you need to spend it's all about creating the right message. So spend more time on creating the right message rather than just buying advertising and space. Because if you spend all this money on advertising space and the message is wrong, again, people will not basically go through your communications hierarchy, and you won't grab their attention, you won't get their interest, they won't have the desire to buy, and then obviously they won't take the action. So you have to then start thinking about new ways of communicating your marketing message to your audience. And this is why you have to come up with your communication objectives. You have to think about your channel and the media used with regards to your target audience, different target audience, different media, and different target audience, different communication objectives as well.